Oh boy, where do I start with this? I've worked as an intern for a little side company of Sony Wonder. You may have heard of it, or may have remembered of it due to very few of their Sesame Street DVDs and VHSs. I'm, of course, talking about Sony Wonder. If that doesn't ring a bell, then maybe this screenshot really does. Yeah, that's the one. The logo with the normal Sony logo above it, followed by the water like blue line with the words Wonder on it, and the O's replaced with a sun. Where am I going with this? Sony Wonder makes some of the PBS as kids and other kid networks onto DVDs. I've heard they've done with Nickelodeon in the past, but this was me mentioning. They normally make DVDs and VHSs and CDs of those properties. Remember when I was mentioning those Sesame Street DVDs? I found some of those bootlegged ones, but I'm sure that they've never made a combo pack of any of the shows they were doing at the time. It's like those Nick Jr. DVDs where they have most of their popular shows, but before that, the pack was called Sony's Festa, which includes shows like, once again, Sesame Street, but also two Nickelodeon shows, being Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy Show, and a brand new one which that I've never seen made onto Sony Wonder. Like, this make me believe that it was a bootleg in the first place. It was Donkey Kong Country, the animated series. For some research I did, and they did those TV episode packs, but I couldn't find any that is something like that. Where I found it was something that one of most employees check on some of the DVDs to see if they work or not. One of the higher-ups found this DVD and they just wanted to get rid of it as fast as he could. So I'm guessing he made it make it or something. I was about to check it out during my working hours, but then he banned me from doing that, making me to check up on the TV episode pack. He also told me to do this at home or homework, and that's the most bullcrappiest thing I've ever heard from this guy, and it made me chuckle. Anywho, I'm sure you all must be wondering about this bloody thing. Like the episodes, the bonus features, and the other trailers, well, let me tell you that I saw this thing. That way I can at least get it off of somebody's attention. The disc booted up without the DVD laws, the thing you would normally see, and then cutting straight away to the Sony Wonder logo. The time that the only things were changed a bit was the color, but nonetheless it was fine. And yes, I took a screenshot of that right above the third paragraph. And the first trailer was there for The Legend of McDonald Land, which it was nothing too special. The next two trailers were both for Sesame Street, one from the late 2000s, and the other one was from the 90s. Then there was a trailer for Donkey Kong Played, and then mentioned more episodes will be coming soon to Sony Wonder. The last trailer was Sesame Street Workshop telling the viewers to go check out SonyWonder.com and SesameStreetWorkshop.com, and ending with the quote that I felt shaken on. And if you see anything like this weird on your desk, destroy it. Sony Wonder and Sesame Street Workshop has found out that disc has a bootleg, which is a crime. Do not make bootlegs or else we will sue. Anywho, enjoy the future presentation. The menu had a mashup of, 90s Nick ads, and Sesame Street was aesthetic. And if you had the four options on your disc, one being show picker, the other one you'll pick the episodes on the disc. A special features option has only two videos, which I'll get to later. Then there was an option where you can actually fix the audio. Lastly, there was a trailer option which just plays all the trailers with the Sony Wonder logo in it. I clicked on the show picker and it came up with 4 episodes, which is for each series. Sesame Street had one called Getting Wicked. Rugrats had an episode called Tug and Tumble. Ren and Stimpy had an episode called Man's Best Friend. And lastly, Donkey Kong had an episode called Kermley's Chaos. I'll explain them in the bullets list, that way it doesn't look so confusing and whatnot. Sesame Street Getting Wicked. The episode starts with a normal Sesame Street episode, when all of a sudden the Wicked Witch of the West comes into and crashes into Oscar's trash can. This causes her broom to break, so she curses Sesame Street with some creepy spells, such as turning Big Bird into a cooked chicken and having Cookie Monster feasting on more than just cookies. The episode just ends with Big Bird starts turning into a cooked chicken, and then just cuts to the credits. Rugrats and Tug and Tumble. The episode's just messed up, like no joke. Like those storyboard jams or in fact a recreation of one. Tell me that if any of those start with Tommy getting juice for Angelica, but then comes in Dee Dee reminding him not to her not to drink before, then Stu, who comes in punching Dee Dee out of the way. Out of my way, you woman! Fred Flintstone's home! Stu then threatens Tommy for some reason, which he starts pooping out small poop balls that looks the size of Kiss, which is actually Angelica telling Stu that she loves him as an uncle, before making Stu feeling more crazy. I did not watch this one. 1. Ren and Stimpy, man's best friend. You have heard of this one, right? Well, if you haven't, then here's what it's about. Ren and Stimpy getting bought out of some drunken owner, and Ren just stands up and murders him at the end, as that was creepy. Donkey Kong Country, the animated series, Crumbling Chaos. The episode starts off with Donkey Kong, but before the loud explosion can be heard, Donkey Kong and Diddy rush out to see Candy Kong being dead, and Cranky limping. Flunky and Dixie then tells them that King K. Rool's new ship, and I was surprised. That ship was from Donkey Kong 64, but why was it doing in here? The episode, like most episodes of the series, doesn't tell us so. The episode just ends with the Kongs in hand, and what seems to be a recreation of King K. Rool's final smash, and from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Plays, as Congo Bongo falls into pieces. Like from those episodes that were more screwed up as the ones I've ever seen, mainly the Nick ones. Those are the worst, and the 2 videos and special features shows something weirder than I've ever seen. The first video starts out with a 3D animated fish going towards the Centropy be floating up to the bubbles, and the clips on the other for episodes of Sesame Street, and a movie clip from Madagascar was shown. Then it would float up to the waters above Regis. Hello folks, you would expect the greetings here, right? Not this time. Seeing how dangerous this scene has become, it's kinda hard to greet anyone. Hell no, no one wants to be greeted anymore. The fame is dangerous, and same with these times, so we will send out some anti-greetings instead of the following evil empires. Yours. Until next time. That's when I got until, and that was from unknown board named Centropy made this, and then made this into another of the tapes. Another one was the weirdest out of the 2. It starts off with the Sony Wonder's logo, and then it ends up changing to a hue, which shows like 2009 YTPs, and make it into a rainbow-like logo, and changes the Wonder part of the logo to play up, and with the tagline, "We know what you did with Kesha, don't lie," and then it just ends there. That DVD was the weirdest, but I'm glad I have it give it back, of course. I've lost my job, but thankfully I'm working with another company, Warner Bros., and helping out with the whole move to DVD digital thing. I'm glad I got this off of my chest. And that, my little pretties, was my time with Sony Wonder. I guess you could say Sony Wonder creepypasta. I believe that's how you could say it. I'm not really sure. But yeah, and that was that. My final thoughts on this story. Well, this story I remember I narrated this sometime back in 2019, and I have to say that this one was kind of confusing. Like, when I first narrated this story was kind of confusing, but at the same time, it really isn't that confusing. Like, it was a bit confusing when I first narrated this, and it still kind of is confusing, but at least it's, not very confusing. But I'm gonna sit there and just, kind of go on my way and explain, about this story. Now, I really like how this story went out, having some bootleg, stuff. Like, it's a little cliched, yes, but I definitely would have to say there's definitely a pretty good, concept for what this story really is. Now, I have seen a few people narrated this story, and they say that this story was, like, a little bit all over the place. This story, in my opinion, although it kind of was a little bit confusing, I still found it to be an enjoyable story. I still found it to be enjoyable and entertaining. I think the best part of this story is how the concept went out. Like, it was pretty good for what it is. It actually had a really good concept for, how this was going out. It's pretty interesting. I'm definitely saying that now, that this story actually had a really awesome detail of, how this was going out. I'm gonna be honest right now that when I first narrated this story, it was a bit confusing. Like, it was quite a bit confusing saying at times, but now I'm going out of my way and reading this now. This story actually was pretty damn well good. Like, I definitely would have to say that the story itself was actually had a pretty good concept. With Sony Wonder, they worked with Sesame Street, and they used to do with Nick Jr. a lot. Definitely would have to say it's a pretty fun episode. I'm like not a fun. Well, yeah, it's a pretty good story. I really enjoy narrating. Now, I remember seeing Sony Wonder and Sesame Street photos and all that. I believe they did well, work with Nick Jr. or Nickelodeon, I believe, at one point. But I definitely would have to say that when I've seen Sony Wonder, I mostly see it in Sesame Street. Because, well, Sesame Street has, well, done this. Like, Sesame Street has been, more shown into it. So I definitely would have to say that it actually has a pretty good concept for what this story really is. I really do find this story to be a quite enjoyable story. Now, I definitely would have to say that this story actually provided pretty good detail, but of course, I really do find this story to be a pretty interesting concept. Now, I remember seeing this back, I think, in 2019. Yeah, 2019, and I have to say, it's a pretty good story. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good one. Although, I remember reading this for the first time, it was confusing, but now I'm, getting it from my head of how good it is. Seeing all the episodes, especially with the Wicked Witch of the West episode being described in a Sesame Street episode. Now, I know there's a banned episode of Sesame Street regarding the Wicked Witch of the West, which I think it's kind of dumb in my opinion that they have it banned, but yeah, at the same time, I know it's banned for a reason, so I did make a video, I think 1 or 2 videos regarding the Wicked Witch on Sesame Street, so you guys can go check them out if you guys would like. But I definitely would have to say this story actually was pretty good. Like, the grammar was pretty good in this story, along with the sentence structuring, although I did spot maybe a few grammatical errors and maybe just a few punctuation errors in the story. So, yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I was quite confused a bit. But the story was actually pretty good. It's not a bad story. It's a really good one. I really do have to say this story actually provided a pretty good concept for what this is. I really do find this story to be, well, pretty interesting. Now, I'm a bit tired. Now, I'm not sure who the original author of this story is, as I can't seem to find the original author for this story. So, I'm just going to leave it anonymous for now. If I ever find out who the original author of this story is, I'll be sure to give him or her proper credit. And I have to say, it's still a pretty good story. I really do find this one to be amazing. Really well done. It's pretty damn good made. So, to the author who made this story, this was awesome. I really do enjoy this episode, and I found this to be quite a good concept for it. Now, anyways, that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit here and say this right now, that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 because it's a pretty good concept for what this is. It's a really good pasta. I really do like how, it has, a concept with the Sony Wonder, concept for it. Although I do have to say, the storytelling, all that was good. The grammar does need to be fixed up and maybe just a little bit. And same thing with the sentence structuring, because I did spot a few run-on sentences in the story, so yeah, the story was a bit hard to read. But other than that, I really found this story to be quite enjoyable, really good and well made, and I just really found this story to be amazing. So anyways, that being the case, that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so that you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.